Hey guys, welcome back to the channel on what is honestly a pretty horrible day. It looks really sunny, but it's actually really humid and moist. It's not nice at all. Anyway, I want to talk to you guys again today about a topic that's been on my mind. And that relates to hard work, okay? I'm going to tell you a story about hard work. I'm going to tell you a few stories about hard work actually. I'm going to tell you about why in a lot of cases, hard work doesn't pay off in today's day and age. This is something quite interesting that I hear from especially older people, where they say, young people these days are lazy, young people these days don't want to try. And in reality, that is wrong. I know a lot of people who do work hard, per se, right? I know a lot of young people who do work hard and do achieve above average results. However, work in the 2020s and going forwards needs to be a lot more targeted and structured. We're not in the time now in today's market where the average job is the best situation for most people to be in. Yes, it does provide a level of certainty and validity, but at the same time, a lot of companies are expecting more and more from employees and comparatively paying less and less. The numbers don't go down, but inflation goes up. Most people become more poor. And companies at the same time are expecting workers to do more and more. Now, this is important context for today's video, as it allows us to deeply understand the market that we're in. If you're the average employee, as a lot of you guys will know, I've heard it from so many people, right? My company's got a new expectation, my company's got a this and that. And you're expected to do all this stuff. But in a lot of these businesses, your chances of getting a promotion, getting a pay increase, it's not that good. You are just being, in a lot of cases in today's market, exploited. In fact, I could make the argument, in my opinion, it's actually some of the minimum wage jobs, or some of the hourly rate jobs, I should say, regardless of wage, which are the best in today's market. Because I know a lot of people who have a 9 to 5, and it's not a 9 to 5 at all. They will get paid a set salary. Let's say it's 25 grand. Let's say it's 24 grand. No, we'll say it's 25, right? Because 25,000 now with the minimum wage increase in the UK, and this is going to be relevant whether in the UK, US, or any other country in the world. But I'm going to use the UK. You're still going to be able to understand these numbers, okay? So 25 grand a year is about the minimum wage here in the UK for a full-time job. That works out to be something like £12.50 an hour, okay? So you get a 25 grand a year job, that's 25,000 secured. Sounds pretty good. Until you realise that 9 to 5 with 40 working hours, which is, again, about what you should be paid, 40 hours times minimum wage, that's your 9 to 5, 25 grand salary. You realise that 9 to 5 isn't a 9 to 5 at all. There's extra activities that you need to do, so on and so forth. You're quickly becoming paid below the minimum wage. And in a lot of climates right now where we're seeing layoffs, we're seeing so many issues, it's not as rewarding as people may think. So that's only part of the issue. That is only part of the issue where, pay does not match what people put in. We have jobs and companies which lay people off, and companies expect more and more. I've got stories from when I used to work in a shop, but essentially a warehouse, right? And this is true. About somebody who was running around in the shop as a worker, and essentially something needed moving. It didn't actually need to be done, but it should have been done, right? And it couldn't have been done in the traditional method because some equipment was damaged or something. So this, really a hero of the workforce, steps up and does it themselves, right? So let's say it's some heavy lifting tasks, let's say, and he does it all himself. So this all sounds great. And eventually, this person gets injured in the process. Again, I don't want to go into too many details because, well, there's not really much point. The person gets injured, and long story short, because this person wasn't doing stuff in the company protocols methods, they didn't get any. They weren't rewarded for their hard work. They didn't really even get sick pay or any compensation, right? Because despite doing something best for the company, it wasn't actually within the company guidelines. So technically, it wasn't valid, and technically, the injury didn't count towards anything. So in the 2020s and beyond, we need to be a lot more conscious about where we put our hard efforts, because they don't take us to a place that they once did, right? You don't get these promotions very easily. Companies just expect more and more. Now, this is where things get interesting, because a lot of people see this as being the absolute doom, right? What comes next? There's no hope. But there actually is. Because in the 2020s and beyond, hard workers are rewarded, but you've got to work hard in the right efforts. In companies, in a lot of cases, hard work is not not something that's necessarily seen as a massive win. It's something which is seen as an expectation. And by the way, yeah, if a company's going to pay you, and they're gonna give you a certain salary in certain circumstances, it is understandable that you should work towards those circumstances. However, at the same time, when more and more is expected, it becomes more challenging. Fast forward to the 2020s, where we are now, and we've got the internet and so many different online skills and income potentials that can be maximalized on. If you want to make proper money in 2025 and beyond from hard work, the answer is through business, or at least some degree of self-employment. Because doing it through a job is not going to garner the same results. At the same time, there are new markets emerging every day. For example, if I really wanted to sit on YouTube every day and make videos 5, 10, 15 times a day, I could probably do pretty well for myself, right? That's just one example. I also resell stuff in my business. The amount of effort I put into my business directly correlates with the results I get. This is one example of how hard work in the modern day can change. Now, of course, the more hours you do in a set hourly salary, and the harder you push yourself in terms of personal development and career development, will help you. But the direct thought that putting in more hours in the office or anything like that is directly going to benefit you, not always the case. You need to be building personal skills, you need to be building career skills which are going to help build your income potential, rather than directly focusing on the numbers on the front of, let's say, how many hours worked, how many tasks completed, because companies don't necessarily value that so much anymore. They expect it, but they don't value it in the way they once did. So hard work in the 2020s and beyond, it doesn't give you the same results that it may once have, and that mainly applies for jobs. If you want to try an alternative path, you can still do pretty well for yourself, and I recommend that anybody who's interested in doing so does try it. Let me know your thoughts in the comments. Thank you for your time, and I hope I'll see you again soon. Goodbye.